look very solid in doing so. I mean, behind Nerf, this team is phenomenal. That's exactly what we're going to start off with as well. The 303 out for Singularity. CIS Hope running a 2-1-3 actually with Kinsey on that solo DPS Hanzo.
And he has been one of the star players for this roster, be it on the Widowmaker or Hanzo now potentially, as Molfik's gonna find Sharix already. Singularity with a man advantage on top of the point as we did start things off here on Control Center. It's things already looking good for Singularity.
Expect CIS Hope to try to control the spacing a little bit. Re-engaging with Shark, now they have that advantage of taking out. Oh, a lot of pressure onto the Brigitte, gonna be saved for now. Looking to try to heal him out, and Nerf coming through, saving the day. They take out the enemy Brigitte, and there's a quick Earth Shatter out from Nerf as they're cleaning things up. Singularity already have control of the point, and this is, again, that aggression that's gonna come out more than likely as they go ahead and push forward and start putting the pressure onto that doorway.
And this is the type of playstyle we love seeing out of Nerf, especially in their matchup versus Snakes and other teams. They've been so good when it came down to playing around that Reinhardt and enabling him for those bigger shatters, but they will look to contest now with that Coalescence. Dragon Strike will be launched up, but no kills on either side. Unfix gonna be dropping really low, and so will Sharik. But now, with that armor being available for Singularity, they're gonna look to push their advantage.
It's Obling versus Chow in this one to try to turn the tides. Both of those divas are losing their mech. There's the Graviton that comes down, answered by the Transcendence. They're cleaving on top of it. Chow will throw out one of his own, as we will see them jumping right on top of it. A nice Earth Shatter to take down Sharik. Unfixed falls as well. Both Brigidas now out of the fight, and it's Singularity hanging on.
And once more, they come out on top, and look at that. Already Nerf using another Earth Shatter. Sharik unable to do just as well with his very own play so far, and now that we will be moving on to another fight. Look at the difference between the Zarya's. Obling already charged up at 62%, and this is going to be so difficult for CIS Hope to really find something on this point that's already at 70%.
Kenzie did a lot with the last Dragon Strike. They weren't able to find kills, but they got it set up nicely as he throws it right out. They rush right over to the side. Self-destruct goes up. Nice positioning there. Won't find a kill, but will help scatter them just enough to put pressure on the Mono. They find that kill as well. Shark getting tossed around a little bit as Control now looking like it's going in favor of CIS Hope. They're cleaning things up now, but I mean, look at the score line already. About 90% on the board for Singularity. And as they re-engage, look at what they've got. They've got the Graviton Surge all ready to go. Chow is one of his own, sure, soon, but Obling will be able to start this fight off aggressively.
At the very least, though, for CIS Hope, getting that kill onto Mono is going to be big because it's going to delay things further. And on top of that, they have both the Sound Barrier and Transcendence. Those two ultimates are going to be so important when it comes to making sure that they will sustain themselves, because at this point, with 89% in advantage of Singularity, they really need to win all these different team fights. Graviton to open it up, looking for the kills. The follow-up isn't quite there, but in the end, they managed to cleave their way for Sharik. With those left swings, will be able to claim one kill. Now pushing them back towards their spawn. Molfig will lose his suit for his trouble. And with these further delays, these are exactly what CIS Hope are looking for.
They also have Transcendence moving forward. Ideally, Chow will somehow find a way to get another Graviton, or this will be very tough to stick out throughout the rest of this this round here. As Obling still holding on to one. They have Coalescence as well. But we'll have to see about the timings with the Transcendence. They can't really push in and put pressure on the main, so he's going to have the answer as soon as they go out with it, having that Graviton down.
And Dragon Strike, they come through, only push the opposition away for a little bit. We do see on the side Zhao looking to charge up, looking to push Molfig away, and he does do just so. But now potentially under pressure himself will fall to Mono. It was on the prowl with the boop. Securing that kill, Sound Barrier will come out. The Graviton is there, Transcendence to answer, but the point does go back in favor of Singularity.
They might be able to hang on here. Zhao's at 94%, so if he quickly makes his way back over to the point, they could flip this once again. Ideally, they do it without him, though. Rally is ready. Fall, dropping low. Oh, and they turn it onto Unfixed. They do find the kill, and here is an overtime as CIS Hope actually lose Zhao once again. He's at 99%. He died twice in this fight. And maybe that will spell defeat, and it does indeed. Singularity taking round one against CIS Hope.
And Nerfed on point, making sure he shuts down Zhao before he's able to even use that Graviton. And now that it is up 1-0, CIS Hope will look to most likely pull out Kenzie on that DPS again, and now even Unfix on the Pharah. This is something that we should see on a map like Night Market. I do believe. Control Center. If there was one part of Lijiang where I would favor Singularity, that is definitely the one that I would have picked out.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly that that is certainly the one where CIS Hope, I think, is going to struggle the most because they're going up against that 3-0-3. You know, a lot of teams struggle in that sense trying to deal with that. I think they did a decent enough job, but now as we look for them to go ahead and re-engage again, they're going to stick to the 2-1-3. They're going to stick to that solo DPS Hanzo, as opposed to the Pharah that we would have probably, I mean, we already mentioned that we expected it.
And already though, shutting down Nerf is going to be big, as this time around he won't be able to be as impactful. 2 kills on the board for CISO, looking to play super aggressive right at their spawn. And as the point is not even yet unlocked, 3 members fall. This time around it's going to be Sharik with that charge for the Earth Shatter.
And that one just comes down to just a minor misplay from Obling, who didn't have the projected barrier out for his Reinhardt. They're going back over to the point now. They're going to demech Molf. He's going to die off as well. So great opportunity for them to not only take control of the point early here, but also get a free fight win. I mean, that's about as free as it gets against a 3-0-3.
And even for Chao, look at the mismatch in terms of that Graviton charge. Obling only at 34%. Chao will have it soon enough if he keeps this performance up. Of course, even with those Reinhardt, Sharik did come out on top so far, as we'll have Kenzie at the ready with the Dragon Strike in. I'm curious to see how he's going to be using it. Looking at Eagle Gaming, they always set up Leaf off onto the flank just to make sure he gets as much damage in, even without a Graviton, but it's going to be the Transcendence coming out. Unfex finds that first kill onto fall. Kenzie with the follow-up, the charges there to push the Transcendence away, but overall, it's still CIS Hope on top.
Oh, look as Obling gets melted there. CIS Hope hanging on. And this is where they need that ultimate efficiency. They need to make sure that they're only using, you know, like a maximum of 2 to be able to win fights right now, so that they have options if they need to retake later. They have Zhao, they have Kenzie together. Those ultimates could combine for a full team wipe if played correctly. It's still going to be kind of tough, but we'll see how this next fight plays out.
Molfig, of course, is going to be lying in wait, but the Graviton does come out. Catch is only nerfed, so that is 1 kill secured on the board. 2 ultimates committed, just like you said. They're going to look to push forward without committing anything else. And now that it is at 70%, things are starting to look dire for Singularity, as they do have a few things lined up for themselves. However, it's going to be such a tough ask to really turn this around in their favor and keep up winning all the different fights.
And if I'm Shark in this situation, I'm looking for a way to try to sneak in an Earth Shatter. He throws it out, doesn't get what he's looking for, but still unleashes havoc onto Singularity, who are now piling out. Unfix going to be dropping just as Shark did prior, and it's going to be Singularity coming forward. They should be able to get the flip. This time it will be at about 99% though. CIS Hope a little bit further forward, but nonetheless losing control of the point, and they struggled last time they were in this kind of situation where, you know, taking the point away from the 3-0-3, that's very, very tough.
But they do have that Graviton available. Dragon Strike to pair it up on Kenzie, even and with the Sound Bear. Of course, there are answers available on the other side as well, so it's going to come down to those small moments, those execution, and who pulls the trigger first. It's going to be the Graviton on both sides. Dragon Strike to follow. Sound Bear answers up on both ends. Nerf going to be dropping a really, really low. Transcendence is available now. This should be enough to potentially swing things back in CIS Hope favor, as Sharik picks up a double kill. We'll look for more. It's going to be Mono finding the boop. However, it's once again CIS Hope with a team fight win.
Wow, that Transcendence was a saving grace if I've ever seen you one. I mean, completely kept them in that fight. The sustain was there, and they were able to take that one. So equalized now, CIS Hope 1, Singularity 1 as well. Now we move on to the final stage here, Garden. And this is where, again, we expect Unfixed to bring out the Pharah. Although it's, okay, well, it looks like we might actually get it. Kenzie will be on the Widowmaker. Singularity once again on the 3-0-3. We'll have to see if they do decide to switch that back up or if they're going to stick to that. But I'm very curious to see how CIS Hope will answer the call for the 3-0-3, because as we know, they do like to play Pharah and Hanzo together, but this time with the Widow, we'll have to see what kind of angles Kenzie is going to be able to find to put some pressure onto that backline.
And I'm also curious if they're going to find success with it. Obling will make, or rather answer the call with a Widowmaker himself. He has played quite a bit of it throughout the tournament already, showing that he won't shy away from contesting the likes of Kenzie with that Widow v Widow duel, but already it's looking like Singularity. Gonna be holding on to control of the point, of course. Still not yet unlocked. 6 seconds left on that one. Waiting on CIS Hope to pull the trigger, look to push through. And so far, rather not really able to find any angles.
Unfixed. Getting around the side. Now putting the pressure down. You can see the Diva, Mulf, coming forward. They've already taken 1 kill, but N has fallen to Mulf already. Defense Matrix going to save him for now. And they won't get the kill. And as time is wearing out, we'll have to see who gets the better in the deal here as Oblang taking some pressure. Kenzie does have Dragon Strike, could throw it out, but instead decides to fall back to his team, where Fall actually comes back onto a Tracer and takes him out.
And I like this out of Singularity because putting up that free DPS setup for CIS Hope Chow, while yes, he was able to dish out quite a bit of damage in the background. Foul coming in on this Tracer has had quite a lot of success. We remember all the way back towards their Eichenwald runs, how much of an impact he can really be. But now, as we will have another fight coming up soon, Obling already at 70% charge. Dragon Strike is gonna come out. Coalescence was there, but so far, nothing secured in favor of CIS. So Pulse Bomb coming out. Fall is gonna be the one to claim that first kill. Zhao finally answering with one of his own, but it is a 5v5 on the point.
And Unfixed backed off once again. Mulf has done a pretty good job, I think, of mitigating some of that pressure from the Fair that you would expect to just wreak havoc into this comp, as Fall on this Tracer is creating a lot of space for his team. Just flanking around, putting pressure on the bridge to make sure that they can't just come around and take that free angle. Graviton ready for Obling. He's looking for that opportunity to drop, but he does indeed. Shark is caught in it as the Pulse Bomb is ready. He's actually going to go for the reset. They do find the kill onto Nerfed as he goes off the side, but Main does drop as well.
We didn't see that charge Nerf. Don't worry about it, as we will have Promerge come out. Fall is going to answer with another Pulse Bomb. Gets a kill onto Kenzie. Will continue on the pain train as Chow will fall too. And now, yet again, it's CIS Hope under a lot of pressure, potentially looking to lose out Lijiang.
Now trying to re-engage. They have only the Dragon Strike to work with right now, so they obviously want more in this kind of situation. It's going to be so tough to turn a fight like this. Earthshatter ready for Nerfed. I mean, we're seeing the Coalescence to start the fight, already putting pressure onto Anna. He falls right away.
And even though the Dragon Strike was there, yes, it does push the rest of the opponents away, but the Earthshatter will be there. No bubble kept available for Sharik. And now as Main comes back in with the Transcendence, it's gonna be overtime pushing through, and overall, it's looking like CIS Hope are struggling to get a hold of this objective.
Singularity pretty easily on that last map, actually taking it. And Kenzie just wasn't able to find the snipes he was looking for, as CIS Hope fall already. Singularity with the advantage early on.
Play of the game.
And I'm surprised they're gonna just go ahead and pull out the free DPS setup already for CIS Hope, considering how much they struggled versus that initial free setup and then eventually Fall. Gotta say, also coming back on that Tracer himself, just been unanswered in the backline.
Yeah, I mean, Fall being, so quick to adapt and then going over to that Tracer, putting pressure onto the Widow to make sure that Kenzie can't find that value in the pick with the Widowmaker that he was trying to get. A big reason why they like to actually go for that selection is because with the Widowmaker, you don't have to worry about, if you can get a couple of, really solid headshots off, you don't have to worry about the fact that there's insane amount of healing on display for this composition. You can just find the kills anyways. But if you're denied by a Tracer, if you're constantly put under pressure by a flanker of any kind, it's very hard to find those kills. It's very hard to find that spacing, and that's exactly what Fall did to diminish the value of that pick.
And I think it's an extremely good adaptation compared to their problems yesterday, because one of the key things then was the fact that Fall kept being the first one to fall for that roster time and time again when he was on that Brigitte, since teams started adapting in terms of how they deal with that 303 composition. But now that we will be moving on to Nabani, can CIS Hope equalize it up? CIS Hope are down one map, but that as we move on to Numbani, we can see a lot of different things from Singularity because they have yet to play on this particular map. And considering Fall's performance so far today, I'd like to see more Tracer.
Yeah, we actually haven't seen Singularity on the next 3 maps. I mean, Numbani, Hanamura, and Dorado are all maps that we haven't seen Singularity yet on. So as we move forward, looking at Numbani, this is a map that I think I would give advantage to CIS Hope, at least initially. However, we've seen CIS Hope kind of change the game a little bit in the way that they want to approach this map. Is it going to be 2-2-2, or are they going to go something, closer to what they used to run / what now Eagle Gaming is running with like a quad tank setup, like a 4-0-2, maybe even running like a Winston as opposed to the old Roadhog or the Brigitte, whichever one you want to consider as the staple now. However, I would say consistently it would probably be a 2-0 or 2-2-2 rather, probably unfixed on Pharah, which is what we've seen a lot of. I imagine they'll probably just stick to their guns in that regard.
And on top of that, Farah, I think we might actually see some Junkrat play because that's been something that CIS Hope did favor, especially against these tank-heavy lineups. And if they expect them to potentially run it through the gates right out the open, I can see that being effective. It can deal with some of those flankers too if they expect some dive. But overall, it's going to be that 2-2-2 most likely.
Yeah, and as we look at this map, it will be starting off with a defense for CIS Hope. Up first, it's going to be Singularity attacking. So the question is Singularity going to run the 3-0-3, or will they switch it up? Will they run a 2-2-2? Because we know that they can run a 2-2-2. It's not the first time that we would see them on a 2-2-2 if they do run it, something like a straight dive, running Tracer and Genji or something like that. Whereas going up against the defense, expecting probably a 3-0-3, and as we look into it, and actually on a Lucio here as they swap up, it's a 2-2-2, but Kenzie actually on a Tracer, and that's not what I expected. I expected actually kind of like a Hanzo, but it is going to be Singularity actually on that full dive with Genji and Tracer coming forward on their first attack.
And we've seen it be effective on maps like Anubis in the past, and already Obling getting that first blood onto that all-too-important target. Main out of the picture right now. No resurrects available for CIS Hope. In the meantime, though, Mofik does lose his dude. 1 tick already on the board. Mono falls in the end, and finally CIS Hope rush forward and do manage to stabilize.
Their re-engage was so clean. Jumped on those targets, unfixed. So much space to work with as Shark and Zhao just being completely shoved everyone away. Got control of the point. Now, a minute off the clock, but Singularity did dive in and get that first tick with ease, I would say. They just got pushed off after. So, as we look towards this next engagement, try to see CIS Hope make an adjustment here to the way that they want to kind of insulate main, their Mercy on this first point defense, because he went out quick on that last one.
And already diving for those supports, it will be Singularity. However, it's not going to be the one that will fall. Kenzie, in the meantime, finds Mono as he dives in a little too deep. And once again, taking out both of the supports, it will be CIS Hope. Just winning another team fight, but another tick lost.
Kenzie actually getting a lot of work done, I would say, on this Tracer. Yes, he took out the Mercy. They just weren't able to protect the Mercy as well this time, and he went out quick. Mono gone, and then Lend under pressure just wasn't able to deal with Kenzie himself either. So both of them kind of left unprotected on their attack, and Kenzie just reaped the benefits.
At the very least, though, for CIS Hope, they will have so many tools to work with. All of the ultimates online for them on the other side. Still quite a few percentages away for Singularity, but Kenzie opening things up with a pulse bomb kill onto lane is exactly what you're looking for if you're CIS Hope.
Well, they still got to do a lot here because they already let go of 2 ticks. Singularity with Obling up top. Self-destruct goes down, denies the blade outright as N gets pulled back up. They have all 6 bodies now back up and in the fight.
We'll have self-destruct being fought by Molfik. In the meantime, though, Kenzie yet again finding a target, this time onto Fall. We'll look to push the rest of the opposition away as Obling will be saved up by the rest of the team. So Molfik coming back in, and even in that Baby Diva form, finds 1 kill himself. Somehow still alive, should eventually go down, but the Resurrect did come through in the end. Mono fighting that opportunity. Now Obling getting unfixed out of the sky as well. Might finally open things up for Singularity.
Oh, Pulse Bomb at the ready though. Gets the stick onto Lind and takes out the Zenyatta post-Transcendence, although the rest of his team and he will both, or as well, go down, and Singularity take the first objective. They have 3.5 minutes now towards the second. They're going to go forward, look to go ahead and take some late kills if they can find any. And we do see Main that is kind of posted up kind of far forward here, as he will get punished for that spawn. Goes down, so they're gonna have to wait now on the Zenyatta. However, CIS Hope should have an opportunity to have probably about 2 fights at least in this phase of the map even still.
And interestingly enough, Unfixed on that Brigitte this time around will make that swap look to secure those kills onto those divers of Singularity, rather, as Fall is gonna be going in with the Pulse Bomb. Doesn't quite find the target, however, still, as he will be contested, will force to regroup the rest of his team. Blade at the ready for Obling. Eyes on him to see how effective he can really be with it, especially with the Brigitte now. He's gonna find that kill, gets a second one. 2 supports already down for CIS Hope. Kenzie looking to return the favor as he gets the D-suit onto Molfik, but nothing really else outside of that. Aang finds one onto Lin, but in the end, with so many dash resets, Obling and Fall coming together, it will be Singularity winning another team fight.
I don't know if they have the opportunity to contest another time, though. We'll have to see if they can speed boost in, but I just don't think that the timing is going to work out in their favor. And Sharak diving in, will contest anyways, take some pressure to get into that position. Kenzie coming back with a Pulse Bomb. They're already losing this fight. Self-destruct does come out, and it's just enough to give them the time to step back up into position on the point and look to ward off CIS Hope if they can once more.
Oh, and that's not what you're looking for if you're CIS Hope. Popping that sound barrier, committing that one as well, not getting much for your trouble. And now as we move on to that third phase, so much time available for Singularity. They will already be building up quite a bit for that, or rather towards that next blade for Obling 2. So no swaps yet needed though. Kenzie on that Hanzo will be able to find mono, and as a result should be able to push the rest of this Singularity roster back.
Did find a lot of damage to start the fight off. That's gonna solidify the kill onto Nerfed. No way, no how you're gonna be able to push in without your Winston to go in front of everybody, lay down that bubble and push everybody else back, create some space for your DPS. Fall still kind of up top, taking this duel against Kenzie, as he's gonna be helped out by the Genji. Obling holding onto that blade up top now, as he dies back down, just waiting for the rest of his team to get into position. And it's gonna be backed by the Transcendence as well. Main will have an answer for himself as well, so we'll have to see how they want to engage this, how they want to put pressure on Main quickly to pull that out before the blade does come to follow.
Seems like they will come into Primal Rage to do just that. Lin now answering with that Transcendence of his own. On the other side, the Obling, this is where he wanted to wait. He pops that blade, looks for Unfix now. Sets his sights onto the other DPS member. However, he gets taken out. Unfix was at the ready, but it will be a 2-for-2 overall. Finally, Fall finds another target, and Shaw is charged up. The Graviton is there, but catches only one member. However, this might just be enough for the rest of CIS Hope to regroup on time.
Obling is on the Zarya now. They're still pushing forward, but the spawn is going to certainly be advantageous for the defensive side, as Singularity is forced to turn around. They don't want to lose anybody so that they can engage quickly once more. 130 now left for Singularity. Can they do it, or will they be stopped by CIS Hope? Chow on Azaria himself, but doesn't have anywhere near his next Graviton Surge, as he died off after throwing that one down. And it's going to be up to Kenzie to put some damage into Nerf, especially that barrier, so that they can really take it to them with that Earth Shatter. Sharak holding on to that one.
We'll look to see how effective he can be this time in that particular matchup. Soundbear is also available for CIS Hope, so overall the stun power should be good. The stun did not quite connect. Still looking for those angles, especially alongside Unfix, but it's going to be dropping really, really low. Fall doesn't want to contest as well, so it's going to be a close call. Can Unfix land that stun? No, it's going to be out to Fall, so they don't want to overcommit. They really want to secure that crowd control before they go for that Earth Shatter.
No barrier.
And now with the Dragon Strike coming in, it will not secure anything, as the Transcendence was at the ready, but so is the case for Main as well. Graviton is going to come out as it was charged up. The Self-Destruct is launched. Sound Barrier is there. Still secure all the kills. Molfik with the Penta. And team kill in the end, secured by Lin, but that was such a close call.
They were hanging on through everything. It seemed like CIS Hope was gonna live through Armageddon even. And then all of a sudden that self-destruct comes down. There's no way for you to get back up as you get shattered to the ground. Shield falls, and so does your entire team. Now CIS Hope have to attack themselves. 23 seconds was what Singularity came away with there. And an exceptional play, I think, particularly by their tanks. I mean, Nerfed and Mulf really came together with a nice combination. Obling to set it all up with the Graviton, group them all up, make sure that that Shatter had an insane impact as well just to get that. Because without both of those guys popping off and getting that much value to get everybody inside the Graviton, to get everybody with the Shatter, none of this would have happened. They probably wouldn't have capped because, I mean, CIS Hope was looking so healthy. They have that spawn advantage. They would have been able to come back if they had anybody die off inside of that Graviton, given the spacing, you know, not being able to get behind Shark's shield. So exceptional play from Singularity, and now they're looking very solid going forward. They still have that one map advantage in the set. They now have the full 3 caps already on this map as well. Now looking to try to shut down CIS Hope, and I would consider this a slight upset if they do wind up winning this, especially in the way that they could possibly take it.
And so far, it seems like they will be once again going for that 2-2-2 comp. As you said, I definitely agree with the fact that this would be, it's safe to say that it would be somewhat of an upset because CIS Hope striking back through the losers bracket really look to come into their own, and we've seen how really deadly they can be when they're on the same page. But now they will have Singularity defending. They'll set up Obling on that Hanzo fall. Once again, under Tracer can't really blame them considering how effective they were, but look at that. It will be unfixed once more on that Pharah.
Kenzie looking for that same impact with the Tracer that he had on defense. First point, they did well, but just weren't able to get it done after that. Obling on the Hanzo, taking pressure already from Chow. Shark, both gonna jump on him. It's gonna Pharah that's gonna go forward as well. Fall taking on Kenzie in a 1v1 Tracer duel between these two.
However, it's not gonna be quite the 1v1 as Unfix did help out, but at the end, will be in falling short, and already a 6v5 man advantage for the defensive side. No 6 achieved here for CIS Hope, and as Nerf does manage to get the D-suit as well. Main finds the Resurrect somehow in all of that, but in the end will be taken out by Lind as still somewhat of a back and forth. Finally, kills coming through for CIS Hope, and in the form of Ang on that Lucio Kenzie also coming alive. Just like you said, once more, a huge impact on this first point, and in an instant, CIS Hope still turn it around.
I don't want to take away from anything that Zhao and Ang were both able to do in that last fight. I don't want to take away anything. But Kenzie's ability to win these fights is insane. I mean, he is definitely the all-star player right now that CIS Hope needs to step up and have this kind of impact so that they can take these maps. They're already down 1. And Kenzie, if he's going to have any say in it, should be able to have his team turn this back around.
He's lying in wait. He does have the pulse bomb. Sneaky Tracer. He goes in, commits for it, gets the stick once again, killing Obling in the fight. And now with a 6v5, they're going to look to rush forward, press on the advantage. Kenzie does fall though. Lin finally takes him out, and as the Rocket Barrage will follow, self-destruct will be popped. Lin the one to take Unfix out, and in the end, Singularity do manage to find those retaliation kills.
The issue here is that when Kenzie isn't in the fight, CIS Hope really struggle. I mean, when he's not there. Now he's coming back in. Zhao is set up very nicely. Zhao's dishing out a ton of damage actually himself. As Mulf is going to lose his mech as well. They will take this fight still over, I mean, a good bit over 4 minutes right now. Unfixed still on this Pharah, trying to put that pressure down as they're going to set up very far forward. You can see Shark just kind of sneaking away. They're actually going to they're going to be seen. They're going to be spotted out by Obling, who's just kind of trying to find them. Oh, Stock Shark will go down. Obling and Fall connecting.
Unfixed does find that return kill, however, the Resurrect will be there, and with 2 members down, CIS Hope look to regroup and said don't want to overcommit, and that's the big problem if you go in so aggressive. The Sonic Arrow, it was there coming out of Obling, and now as they will have that Transcendence available, it might just sustain throughout the next fight.
Kenzie coming around, has the pulse bomb. Looking for a target here as they look to commit. They jump right in, stick onto the Winston, putting the pressure down. He doesn't have the he doesn't have the primal rage, but still gets a lot of healing there as Obling warded off away from this fight and goes down. Singularity still able to find a way to battle into this fight as Nerf has hung out for so long.
And it was looking somewhat dire at the start, considering the fact that I do believe the Dragon Strike was eaten up by the Matrix, but now Chow looking to regroup with the rest of his team, manages to find the reset, doesn't look to delay things too much, and now CIS Hope are looking to be somewhat struggling. Yes, they will have the Valkyrie. The Rocket Barrage is there, but once more, so much available here for Singularity.
They might have to look at this because they also struggled in the second stage on their defense. Now having that same performance on an attack. Unfix coming around the corner is boosted up with that damage. As Barrage ready, needs to be able to find a value with this. Try to take out Nerfed or Molf if you can without being taken down yourself. Zhao's gonna look to protect him. Pulse Bomb's gonna get eaten up. Fall will not be able to find anything with that.
Oh, and neither will Kenzie as he looked for it. The Dragon Strike does come out, and then we will see Nerf drop extremely low. Will be falling, and Kenzie with the follow-up on Timana as well, who went for a very greedy res there, will fall on top. And now, finally, we see CIS Hope surging forward, getting those last few kills in the end. With 3 minutes and 27 seconds, they're gonna look to get a better time in this last phase.
I love the way the Shark approached that too, because he was able to take out Lend, so already the Discord Orb is gone, already some of that damage from the Zenyatta is gone, but he also isolated out Fall, or rather Obling, my apologies, on the Hanzo as well. So a lot of the damage was just completely mitigated by Shark's positioning on that Primal Ridge.
Now, Zhao even finding 1 kill on to Fall with that Ultra Shock somehow forced out that Transcendence from the defensive side, and this is gonna be looking better and better for CIS Hope. Even though they lost 1, they will look to regroup, and Kenzie is still dishing out the damage in the background, so never mind. They're just looking to outlast their opposition, and so far it's gonna be one more 1-for-1 trade. Still back and forth. Nerf finds Unfixed in the end, but as the rest of CIS Hope look to push on their advantage, it's only that front line left alive here for Singularity.
And the Sound Barrier should be able to help them turn things. They do demech Molf as well, clean him up, and going forward, Kenzie once again with N. And a little help from the tank line as well. Are able to turn this fight back around. Unfixed now at 90% towards this Barrage. He hasn't found too much with it so far, but perhaps this is a way for him to redeem himself in a big way, have an impact at the last stage of this map, get the job done for your team.
Especially since it is that 3-on-3 comp, but Kenzie gets spotted out. It's suddenly deleted and not gonna be able to make things advantageous for his team this time around. But the air shatter setup coming out of Sharik secures 3 kills for his team, and now Unfixed with the follow-up will have 2 off of that. Self-destruct was used, shield was there. Molfik will eventually be falling, and CIS Hope looking to close this one out.
Oh, now we're seeing the self-destruct ready for Zhao as he goes forward. Obling trying to stay alive against it. Oh, they find a way to get the barrier down, and Obling dies because of it. Now just have to deal with Fall on the point. Lind is trying to sustain him as we do see Nerf come in. Just as quickly goes out. Kenzie cleaning things up, and they get the job done. CIS Hope run the map as well.
And in a much better time when it came down to it, especially on that third phase. We'll see what they can really do to make sure they do get that 1-to-1 map score in the end, as we will move on to another attack coming out of Singularity. Would expect to see most likely another 2-to-2, but considering the fact that they do have 1 minute, do you think there is a chance that will be the tank heavy lineup instead?
I don't think so. Not at least not for this map, because point A, just you need to have the ability to contest high ground in some way. With a lot of the compositions that we're expecting CIS Hope to run, you have to find a way to deal with it. So CIS Hope though is having a different look and a different approach to this. I think they believe that it's going to be, you know, that 3-0-3. I think they believe that it's going to come through, and I mean, it certainly is possible that Singularity decides last minute to make that adjustment. However, they're looking like it's going to be a 3-0-3. They're trying to defend against that, it looks like. N will likely swap, I believe, actually, to the Lucio like he did prior. Just looking to maybe find some damage at the beginning as he swaps quickly, I have to assume.
60 seconds remaining.
Yep,
And
there it is.
And it is going to be the dive yet again for Singularity. We'll see how they can
They
push
did that
this
last
one
defense
through.
too. I mean, N did the exact same thing
Yeah.
last defense.
So Lucio, of course, much better choice here for the rest of CIS Hope. However, we'll see how this dive coming out of Singularity can really coordinate themselves, as main is going to be yet again the worst one to fall. No supports available for CIS Hope, and already things looking dire. Can Kenzie once more pull out those miracle plays so far, finding one kill onto Nerf. We'll see Zhao still alive, as he did find Mono in that engage. However, still Obling and the rest of his team on the point will manage to find that first stick, and we'll look to see them get that third soon enough.
Well, Kenzie will come around that corner. I think Fall expects him to come around, but he actually decides not to. They're going to go ahead and contest them as they regroup instead, thinking maybe they have a shot to end it here. 2-1-3 as CIS Hope looking to re-engage. Kenzie close to that pulse bomb, already contesting up top.
But look at that, Fall now onto that Vera, expecting those tankier lineups potentially coming out of CIS Hope. Now Zhao will be able to take him out. However, Sharik did fall too. The respawn advantage will be in favor of Singularity, but it seems like it doesn't quite matter, as Kenzie is as lethal as ever.
Oh no!
Mofe actually finds the kill somehow, but Lin will fall. Member advantage still in favor of CIS Hope. Spawn is still there, though Fall coming right back in. Looks for that kill onto main. However, it's still CIS Hope finding those targets. Still them getting the kills, and with a double now, the blade will come out. However, it will be taken out, as this long-winded fight is all about CIS Hope.
Self-destruct still ready. They haven't had to use it just yet, and batted back. Molf unable to get to the point. They do make the stop. That's a good defense there for them. A little misplay from Kenzie as he ran forward. I think he thought he was going to be able to either get underneath the payload and LOS away from the self-destruct, or perhaps try to hit the recall and then maybe his button slipped or hashtag lag. I think Unfixed was the person that had that before with the Pharah on Lijiang Tower.
Lag.
Hashtag lag. Blame it on the lag. Sun got it in his eyes, you know, whatever. But anyways, 157 though for CIS Hope as they look to attack now. Kenzie, I imagine, on the Tracer, more than likely, as Unfixed is currently on the Pharah to match up with that. Interesting that they've really felt quite confident about the Tracer. I mean, they've pulled it out time and time again, and Kenzie, not only have they, been able to pull it off, but Kenzie has looked very good in the process. They've really put out some real insane showings, I think, on that Tracer. They've been able to turn fights around that really they have no business winning at all. And it's going to be very tough, as Obling now is on the Widowmaker, where Kenzie could possibly kind of weasel his way in there and really put some damage down onto the Widowmaker and force Obling to not have any value with that pick.
And it's going to be very important, because on the other side, it seems like Unfixed hasn't had the best of times, at the very least today, compared to his previous series performance. And now the rest of CIS Hope looking to find those early picks, just getting that high ground for now, looking to push up towards those supports of Singularity already. Looking to go when Sharik is going to be falling, though, as it gets instantly punished by the rest of Singularity. And with them now onto the point, we'll look to deny any potential tick coming out, but CIS Hope finding the kills in the end already. Zhao with a double kill. Kenzie still as effective as ever, finds the kill onto Mono in the end. Obling gets a double kill himself, so can he somehow turn the tide in their favor, as so far it is going to be Molfik with another kill. Go through one tick on the board. This should be another potential fight coming out of Singularity.
Yeah, they will go ahead and recontest, it seems like, as they dive back in. They have to be careful, though, because if they lose this fight, they could easily lose the entire map along with it.
And now as we look to see the self-destruct being launched on both ends, which one is going to be more successful? So far, they're going to just allow them to resuit. Overall, the pulse bomb was there. Molfik losing his suit for his trouble right now, as Kenzie's continuously dishing out the damage. Obling does find it Unfixed in disguise, but still, yet again, all about CIS Hope, as Kenzie fights kill after kill. Mono gets punished, and now only Fall left onto that point. Obling trying to grappling hook his way right there, and with this team fight loss, I just can't see how Singularity managed to get their way, or rather make their way on that payload.
Yeah, no way. This is it. CIS Hope will take the map 100%. And we'll see them try to engage. Molf does get onto the point, but he's going to lose his mech very quickly. They're only a quarter of a meter away from being able to secure it. Nobody else is going to get there. So CIS Hope will indeed take it in a very close match against Singularity, evening up the score.
And it was such a close matchup. Really interesting to see how these two teams perform up against each other, because as we've said, Singularity, the team to beat with those 303 attacking lineups, not even bringing them out.
I love that play so much. The Earth Shatter was able to get it done. They put the damage into the barrier as well. So great stuff from them, Singularity. So close to being able to take it. I mean, with that play, kind of kept them alive a little bit. Unfortunately for them, that defense just didn't work out in their favor. So now things are tied up, moving into Hanamura next.
And that's going to be definitely a map you don't want to miss out, as we might see some interesting picks coming out of CIS Hope. Maybe that triple DPS, maybe the May for Unfixed, who knows? Stay tuned. We are tied 1-1, and here I think this is the map type that I'm most curious about when it comes to this particular matchup.
Yeah, because if you think about it, going on to the first point, probably a 3-0-3 from Singularity. I mean, it's hard to tell because we haven't seen them on this map pool, as we mentioned before. So we haven't seen them on this map at all. So I'm expecting a 3-0-3 to start off, maybe a 2-1-3 with Obling on Widowmaker that might come out. But I think at least running the 3 support, at least running 2 tanks, I think is to be expected with their attack. Now, defense is, I think, why you're most interested, because this is where we could see a 1-3-2, that triple DPS comp from CIS Hope to come out, where we see Chow actually bring out the Tracer himself. And I loved seeing him on that, because if we look back at Eichenwald, that was probably one of their best defensive performances when they actually had that lineup going into that map.
And not only that, we've already seen that Unfixed is not going to shy away from picking that main when it comes to these assault maps. So that could also be an opportunity to have that hero come into play yet again. However, going into this one, having CIS Hope start things off on defense, we might just see a double sniper or a double DPS setup with, yet again, Kenzie on something like a Hanzo, and maybe for Unfix a Fair or something that can really dish out the damage.
Yeah, I mean, trying to figure out a way to deal with the 3-0-3 is not just about figuring out how you want to set up, but it's also just as important to figure out how, which heroes you want to use, which heroes you want to put into your composition so that you can kind of work a strategy to kind of play around that 3-0-3. And I mean literally around it. A lot of times we see a lot of teams, just try to position themselves in a way where they can actually surround the opponent and be able to find a way to rip them down. But here it is, Sombra from Chow, as opposed to the Tracer that we see. So a slight adjustment to the composition that they do like to run, as we'll look to see some hacks come out for some quick kills, and Land is first to fall. They lost the Moira.
And Fall out of position potential will be the one to drop, as well as Kenzie does find that kill in the end. Already nothing achieved in terms of ticks here for Singularity. Nerf trying to charge in the hack. They've come around to Mono, and now Unfix finding the kill. Seems like they will once more make this 3 DPS setup work.
And I think actually this is an objectively solid upgrade from the Tracer. Yes, you lose out of the Pulse Bomb. Yes, you lose out on the ability to suppress the backline a little bit, but you can still do that with the Sombra. You still have the EMP, you lower the shields, you take out the barriers, you take out the defense matrix, you take out the ability for the Moira to fade. The Lucio can't boost anybody anymore. And then on top of that, you still have the ability to get just those single target hacks. You're still dealing out some solid single target damage.
Especially since Unfix is going to be able to find a kill onto Mono already. And on top of that, we'll look to see how he's going to, or rather who he will pick as his targets with those hacks. The Dragon Strike will be there, looking for the Coalescence. On the other side, Lin will keep the rest of his team alive, but yet again, it's CIS Hope coming out on top. The Riptire is at the ready. Kenzie finding another kill, this time onto Fall. 0% on the board for their opponents. Zhao does go down, but the Riptire is there. Halt groups him up now, looking to split. It will be Singularity falling shortly, as 1 tick is gonna be what they achieve, but remember, disadvantage for them means that the rest of CIS Hope will look to push on forward, play aggressive, and take them out. The Earth Shatter though, and the Graviton was available, so never mind. That's not gonna happen. Singularity find their way on this first point.
They absolutely needed that EMP there from Chow. Absolutely needed it. They will have it for the next fight though, as Ann actually does make a swap over to the Ana. They still have Sharik solo tank on the Orisa here. Singularity pushing in, already onto the point, does get hacked out. There's the MP.
And a big one at that Unfix. He's once more set up on that Bastion. All the way in the back, this is what we've seen out of him already on assault maps, fighting those targets. Gets the D-suit, gets the kill onto Lin, and we will have, in the end, CIS Hope holding out to this objective. But 1 tick was given away for it as well.
1 tick. I mean, that's pivotal, I think, in this one, though. It's Kenzie holding onto that Dragon Strike. They have Transcendence. They still have the Unfixed, actually, on the Bastion as they swap Fall. They like to do that, actually, have Obling or Fall swap, and lately it's been Fall, as he's typically the Brigitte player. They feel like that's going to be the one that makes the most sense, as he goes over to the Hanzo, answering the call, trying to put some pressure onto the Bastion as they approach, getting knocked around. And here comes the Dragon Strike again. That perfect positioning inside the stairwell.
Will force the rest of his team to really drop down, but it's going to be still Fall finding the kill with the Storm Arrows onto Unfix. The Bionate will shut out that healing, but it's not going to secure any kills as so far Singularity find themselves in an advantageous position. However, Kenzie left in this to his own devices rather in the back line has managed to find one kill onto Fall, and one by one Singularity will fall.
They will indeed, and they also try to make their way over to the health pack where Chow just says hello, takes them all out or takes the rest of them out as well, helps his team clean up. Once again, we will see, actually Mono's switching. Lind had already made a swap himself over to the Zenyatta, so slowly making adjustments here, still staying with the 3-1-2 setup, but very different approach when you change those two supports.
And we'll still have that EMP. Kenzie finding Lind again will prompt that resurrect, so they will manage to bring it back up, but that resource will not be available for Singularity any longer. And now with Zhao lying in wait, he's gonna look to set up Kenzie for that Dragon Strike potentially. However, Unfix in the meantime finds one onto Fall, and already Singularity pushed away.
They're gonna go ahead and push on forward, but they are still trying to answer, with this composition. It's still a really solid composition up against the 3-0-3. So at some point, if Singularity thinks, hey, we should just go back to what we know, go to the 3-0-3 and force it, CIS Hope have a great comp to be able to deal with that right away, especially going up against it where if they do make swaps, they won't have any kind of ultimates online at all, and they should be able to take that fight quickly. So this has completely canceled out Singularity's ability to run the 3-0-3 almost outright.
And already Unfix looking to charge up that Riptire. All those ultimates banked up for the defensive side here. We'll see if Kenzie's gonna pull the trigger yet again. With that Dragon Strike will be the hack coming through onto the Reinhardt of all targets. So big one in favor of Zhao, but now contested on that high ground. Will be forced down. The Valkyrie was popped by Mono. Riptire is out though. Unfix looking for the targets. EMP on two. And in the end, yes, they do take out Nerf, but the Resurrect might still be available. Mono with the projected barrier will manage to pull it through, but it's still overall CIS Hope with the winning team fight.
And Nerf jumps off the side as well. Now they have just over 2 minutes, but time has really dwindled down for them. They have not been able to, since that first push where they were able to get in that first tick, they've really struggled ever since. And I think a big reason for that is because they kind of depend on that 3-0-3 in a lot of cases for this type of map and really struggle against the high ground control that we see CIS having, especially the different ways that they can take it with Unfix, Zhao, and Kenzie all on DPS characters.
Look at that already, splitting them apart. It's going to be Nerf dropping extremely low. He was hacked once more. It's just unallowed to play at this point. Will be Zhao. Rather Kenzie finding the D-suit onto Molfig. Zhao dropping pretty low, but already towards that next EMP. And in that previous fight, they only used that Riptire alongside it. Now looking into the next one, as they did make the stop, they will potentially have all of their ultimates available again.
Transcendence ready for main. That's going to be big on this next one as Obling, who's getting healed back up right now, is having that that Graviton ready. EMP very close. They want to drop it. They catch Zhao. He could teleport out of this one, but they're just going to opt to heal him back up. And nobody is lost. Now, they actually do wind up losing Unfix, but still have that EMP. They're going to try to wait out that Transcendence, but once it comes down, the EMP should follow, and there it is!
And can they secure those kills? Side set onto Mono, who gets slept in the thick of things. However, Sharik does go down, and the members rapidly building up in favor of Singularity. Obling takes out the tire, all too important target, and this is gonna be one last ditch effort potentially here for the defensive side, as Zhao was the target of that data boost. However, it's not really gonna mean too much. 27 seconds left for their push. Unfix on that May will look to stall, but it's still Singularity finding the kills, making sure they do have the advantage. And now, with Sharik going down, 17 seconds left, they do get that second point.
They tried so hard to whittle that down to 0 so that they would have the advantage if they're able to get that second cap quickly. They could still find that advantage, though, moving forward. They were able to take it down to 17 seconds. That's a solid defense, especially knowing how that second point was held out. CIS Hope should feel pretty comfortable as long as they can make their attack work. Going forward, though, quad tank?
I mean, why not? Because the way CIS Hope really play that quad tank, they just, even if they lose that first fight, they're just so oppressive with it that they will set up someone like Kenzie on the Roadhog. And indeed, if they will run the quad tank, they're going to run with Kenzie on the Roadhog. One pick would potentially be all they need to push their way through. And it's going to be an interesting matchup just because Singularity might actually go for the 3-0-3 as an answer.
All right, trying to go head-to-head in that one. This will be one of the first looks that we will get on the 3-0-3 versus the, I guess, old style of quad tank that we saw in, you know, one of the last metas. So I'm very interested to seeing how this goes up. Yes, they will have a slight advantage in terms of being able to deal with the enemy in close quarters because they have the Brigitte Singularity. However, CIS Hope has I would say a tad bit more barrier pressure. So if they kind of play it slower, if they look for picks, play off of Kenzie, knowing that full well, they could slow down the fight a little bit, wait to engage, and then ward Singularity off, put the pressure on the nerfed, and then engage then when they know that they're going to have the advantage. But look at the way that they're setting up here on defense, up top, ready to waterfall down.
The question is, can the CIS Hope spot him out quick enough? Because we've seen how punishing this positioning can really be from the defensive side. Fall on the way with that third person, already spots out the Diva, however misses the stun. Doesn't really matter because Zhao will fall, and now as they will look to regroup towards their spawn, CIS Hope will be stalled for those all too precious seconds.
And now they'll go ahead and come back through, and actually a swap where they're going to drop the Roadhog and go to the Hanzo instead. Once again, it's going to be that 3-1-2 actually, as opposed to the 2-1-3. And we'll see how this works out for them, as already we see Molf kind of separated off, but he should find the kill on the Kenzie. He actually does find some healing. Everybody is everywhere. Sharek isolated away from the rest of his team as they came back to actually help out. But they should have the advantage in getting Sharek back before Molfik can do the same.
And that might just be enough for them. But however, Motto finding a kill onto main in the background will make sure that will not be the case, because on the other side, of course, yes, they did take out Molfik. However, on that Diva should be able to make it back in time soon enough, especially for this next team fight. Kenzie will look for those angles, look to charge up that Dragon Strike as soon as possible, because on the other end, because of the Graviton battle, Obling is coming out on top so far.
But a nice angle for Kenzie, laying it in, trying to get that Dragon Strike available. It is indeed, as he just unleashes it. They completely sidestep for now, and there's Nerf with the answer!
Lays 4 of them flat, I believe, and now with good coalescence, Lin will secure the kill there at the end. It's Obling as well, at the ready with the Graviton, and Singularity charging forward will look to potentially hold him out on this first point.
Just over 2 minutes now, and CIS Hope in a dangerous spot here because they have nothing. I mean, unfixed at 76%, they could charge that up, but they still have, you know, Oblings to deal with, who already is charged up. He already has it ready to go, and they have the prime positioning to be able to just throw it up into that wall like they are doing right away.
Self-destruct will be launched on top, and will secure 2 kills on those supports, and now the rest of CIS Hope will be looking to regroup, and with Kenzie, potential late kill there, no, not gonna really happen, luckily enough for them, but this is where D2 strike back. This is where they have now unfixed this Graviton. They have Zhao with the self-destruct looking to combo that up potentially, because on the other side, if they stall it out, Nerf will have another Earth Shatter. Mono will have a sound barrier. Lind, of course, should be able to charge up that coalescence, so will potentially look again really good for them. However, sound barrier was popped, and we'll see that self-destruct go through. However, Sharik finds the kill with the charge, but this could still look good for Singularity.
They have to sustain here. Coalescence ready from Lind as he comes back through. He pulls it out, so they're battling each other now. Dragon Strike does come as well, and it's actually Sharek creating tons of space on the point, diving on as well. Obling pulled back, has a ton of energy, 76% towards his next Graviton, but I don't think they have a way to get back in.
Seems like that will not be the case. Molfik in that Baby Diva form. will be the last one to fall, and now they did at the very least manage to stall this one out as much as possible. 34 seconds right now here for CIS Hope. We'll have quite a lot to work with towards that second point, and on the other side, it's still Earth Shatter ready for nerf. Graviton soon enough for Obling, so finding those picks through Kenzie now going over to that Widowmaker will be detrimental for them.
We'll have to see as we see that angle being taken. Molf gonna try to be the answer as he dives back over to his team. They set up now. Looks like they're just gonna engage through main. Drop right in. Obling does have the Graviton. Defense Matrix not gonna be able to find it.
But the sound barrier was there. The self-destruct pop too. Finally, we see a 1-for-1 trade as Molfik does get taken out, and now Kenzie being left to his own devices up that high ground. We'll look for those targets. We'll look for those heads. Finds another onto Linda. Graviton on the other side will come out. However, the barrier will be there. Nerf should follow in the end as Obling does too. And now CIS Hope might just take the second point with a lot of time left.
Unfixed has massive energy. I don't think they're going to need another Graviton, but if they do, he might be able to get one because he's just laying it in. Molf going to drop there as they clean that one up. Nice barrier to protect from Nerf's charge as well. And it's just a matter of time now. They should have plenty of that to work with for their next push as they have just under 4 minutes. Singularity now with 1 as they capped theirs, I believe, with like 16 or something like that. So definite advantage for CIS Hope going forward. Singularity attacking first, though.
And now that we already seen what they will bring to the table on this first point defense, would you argue that it's time for your CIS Hope to change? Because it did look pretty well overall. Like you said, I do like the fact that Zhao went onto the Sombra instead of the Tracer because of the angles you can just pull through with those EMPs, with those hacks, and seems like they might be going for it, but with Kenzie, this time on the Widowmaker potentially instead.
That's super interesting. And that's a nice way of me saying that I don't agree with it. Because, yes, with the Widowmaker, if he takes, an angle back towards their spawn, which is probably going to be what he does, as he doesn't want to get too close. He wants to be able to take the high ground and then force some pressure onto the backline. Even once Nerfed, drops his shield, they're going to be looking to take down Nerfed as well. That'll be one of their priority targets when he's vulnerable, susceptible to taking fire. Kenzie will certainly look for that. But, I mean, still, I feel like a Hanzo could do the same thing and possibly better if they're able to get that spam damage, force Nerf to hold that shield up so that Sharik doesn't have to take as much pressure. Because as soon as Nerf has the ability to just hold W, that becomes a massive issue. Sharik won't be able to sustain long-term against that.
However, with Unfix on that Junkrat already, getting a kill, will look to stall things out just like their opponents did for them last time around. And another big thing that will make Nerf's life harder, as said, I really do think it's going to be Zhao. Once more on that Sombra, we'll look for those hacks, look to engage with that potentially, as it is going to be 30 seconds now left. Kenzie was able to dish out quite a bit of damage, still uncontested so far. Now finally onto this point, CIS Hope looking to push them away with Shurik in the front line. Will drop his barrier, the Riptire is ready, can it find the targets? So far, he's gonna sneak his way in, finds one onto Nerf, a big one at that. Without the Reinhardt in the fray, it will be mono even hack. Zhao securing the second kill, and at this point, it's all about CIS Hope getting the kills, getting the wins.
I didn't think he was going to be able to get that tire in there, but he snuck it through. Nerf actually almost got him with the mind games, but Unfixed so patient with that one. Now they have tons of time, but they will probably need almost every one of those seconds to be able to get this because they really struggled on point A. Singularity's defense was insane. They held out for so long, even with that 3-0-3. So we'll have to see what CIS Hope wants to bring out. We saw in the past a lot of, quad tank that came through. CIS Hope immediately swapped off of that. Kenzie immediately swapped over to a Hanzo, and we never saw him go back over to, the Roadhog that you typically see paired up with that comp. But we'll have to see if they do want to go for that one more time and, test their luck against it a second time.
And so far on the defensive side, we might see another approach coming out of Singularity. Obling toying with the idea, sticking to the Junkrat, I mean, I do like it against those tank-heavy lineups, but this is something else coming out of Singularity. Not only is Obling on the Junkrat, Mono will be on the Ana, which, of course, seen plenty of success on that, especially on that second point compared to this first one, and Molfig on the Winston.
I mean, you got some big boys up front. You got the biggest boys available outside of Orisa, obviously, and they're going to bring both of them in. They're going to have backup with Brigitte, and they're going to have healing from a Zenyatta, helping them dish out damage, provide some of those discords so they can take targets down, and then Ana as well, which might be pretty good against this triple tank setup. Once again, Kenzie on the Hanzo as they're looking to come back in. Obling on this Junkrat, lying in wait. This is a good opportunity for him to ward them off, and he needs to really have an impact here on the Junkrat.
We'll see if he can do just that, as Nervous is going to be the one to drop really, really low. We'll signal Molfig to re-engage and look to secure a kill onto Shorik, who will have all of the support in the world. Make sure he is alive as the Coalescence already going online for main. It's going to be Eng picking up the first kill of the fight, and this is not looking good for Singularity. Remember, it's 33% is all CIS Hope needs, and as we will see, one by one, for Singularity going out. They're trying to go through with the Air Shadow. Will not be successful, and CIS Hope take the second map win for themselves.
That looked so much better for them, but I don't know. Singularity pulled out a composition that I don't know if they've actually scrimmed with. I don't know if they've actually practiced that one, because I don't know who would practice that one. So kind of in desperation, trying to kind of catch CIS Hope off guard. Not getting the job done this time, but overall, still solid performance for Singularity.
Big boys comp not really working out for them this time, but as you said, really well done throughout the series. And now as we are 2-1 in favor for CIS Hope, moving on to the next map, it will be that Escort. So this is another one that we haven't seen Singularity play on as of yet, and this is another type of situation where they could come out ahead.
And I imagine they're going to bring the 3-0-3. I imagine this is a good opportunity for them to kind of equalize a little bit, you know, push CIS Hope to their limits, and we'll just have to wait and see if that's going to be the case.
Indeed, that will be interesting to watch as we are at match point for CIS Hope. Stay tuned. And we are back. This is potentially going to be the last map of the series. Of course, the loser here doesn't go home empty-handed. It will be the 4th place secured. But Singularity need to bring it to a 2-2.
Yeah, they absolutely have to now. They're such a strong team. It would be so unfortunate for them to go out like this. CIS Hope has been looking a lot better, though, throughout this tournament. I think they've really turned things back around since their loss to Snakes, though it should be mentioned that a loss to Snakes is not that big of a deal because it's a strong team. They have figured out how to play 2-2-2, I would say better than probably a lot of the teams, if not all of the teams that are in the EU bracket right now. They're the team to beat if you're going to play up against them for sure, especially double sniper and things of that nature. But still, CIS Hope was a really strong team that we expected to do well. They fell short very early on and now are climbing their way through the lower bracket and now are in a position to, put themselves even closer to that grand final that they are obviously looking for.
And now, as we will be moving on to Dorado, this is, again, a map we haven't seen Singularity on. We don't know really what to expect. But if you are to really Furycraft the composition coming out of them on this first point, what would you say for their respective attack?
Well, for Singularity, I'm definitely looking at the 3-0-3. I mean, maybe a 2-1-3, something like that, maybe. But it's tough to say. I would probably say at least the 3 support, though, if I'm their coach or, whatever. Defending it, though, that's where I'm not sure exactly what CIS Hope wants to do here, because as they are defending first, they have shown triple DPS defenses in the past, but I don't think this map caters to that as much. I don't think that they're likely to run it here. I think they're more likely to run, a 2-1-3 or a 2-2-2 possibly with Unfixed back on DPS again. But still, when they do run Unfixed on DPS, at least through this series, it has been a little bit harder for them in these matchups. It seems like they play a little bit stronger when they actually just have that solo DPS of Kenzie.
And Kenzie has been popping off all throughout, especially on the Tracer. A little bit of action, of course, on Hansa, which might come out yet again for them, as we will see CIS Hope start things off on defense once more. Dorado, the map at hand.
All right, we can already see it's 2-2-2 Unfixed back on DPS for their defense, and it's actually Obling and Fall coming together with a double sniper setup, running Nerfed and Mulf on Orisa and Hog respectively, as we see Obling right behind that cart. They already have a little bit of vision. Mulf looking for that first hook to establish the first pick. Not going to find it immediately, and CIS Hope now have to contest as the payload has reached that archway.
We'll see them do just that. The hook is going to come through, though. Chow will be able to stay alive. Will jump extremely low. Sharik even losing a lot of that shield for his trouble. Main, though, finds Fall, and now with that, it will signal the rest of CIS Hope to move on forward. Unfixed finds Obling in the background. The rest was beat there, but it's still Unfixed. Coming up huge on this Pharah.
Ooh, falling back as this double sniper just didn't find the picks that they needed to be able to push that payload through. And as it falls back into the archway, things will still be difficult for them. They have to find picks in order to find an advantage to actually push forward. Otherwise, they're just going to be, they're not going to have the same amount of firepower. And this is an opportunity, and Obling, unfortunately for Singularity, just missing it.
And this is the big problem. Ja already so close to that Graviton, might combo it up with Kenzie, who is still alive. But never mind, Fall does manage to take him out. The Graviton won't be there. Resurrect does not come through, and as a result, nothing to combo. It's only going to be that damage coming out of those tank line members. And Unfixed, who finds the angle, finds the rocket barrage. And now, once more, CIS Hope winning this one out.
So crazy to see how Singularity got here off the back of some insane 3-0-3 performances, pretty much the best that we saw in EU, at least at this point. And Nerfed he was so incredible. He was such a high performer on the Reinhardt, and we just haven't really seen that same stuff from him in this series. I mean, whether it be diminished by what CIS Hope is playing and how they're playing, or whatever, he just still hasn't had that same level of impact, and it's tough to watch Singularity in these situations where they have to play without that, without that value.
And I do feel like it's up to this DPS lineup of Singularity to really come alive, make sure they find those picks, because as I say that, we'll find one into Kenzie, will be brought back up online, but those are going to be the important ones because on the other side, with the likes of Unfix still able to dish out the damage, Kenzie going through, it's going to be Fall, popping up that Dragon Strike too, finding one kill onto Zhao, so he will be out of the picture. No Graviton available for this team fight, and now the rest of Singularity pushing up forward, looking to set up in a potential advantageous position. The Supercharger will be there, Sharik will go down, and finally we see Singularity winning this team fight.
They still have to deal with Unfixed and Kenzie, who are both still in this fight, and they could easily re-engage as Main is protected as well for now. It's Zhao making sure he stays alive, and they actually get the point without winning the fight, I mean, wholly, because CIS Hope just wasn't able to get there.
An unfortunate position there. Kenzie still in the back. Try to go for the flank. Will go down in the end. Main and Sharik alongside Aang will be left alive for now, but the question is for how long, as we'll see Main drop Aang as well. Only Sharik desperately holding his shield, trying to stay alive for as much as possible. Will be going down. But 2 minutes 44 seconds now left on the clock here for the attacking side of Singularity. Obling will have that infrared side, and this next fight should be able to scout out Kenzie, as he did make the swap himself to the Widowmaker. Look to contest, even Unfixed going onto that sniper, so it's gonna be the double sniper setup here for CIS.
Ooh, Obling already making a bold statement here. First kill on the board for them. He also has Infrasight, but he's backed off now because of the aggression that came out from Sharik. Zhao falls though, as he isn't protected by his Winston. And perhaps Zhao, after dropping this Graviton Surge, will probably swap over to the D.Va instead, but they have to get into a position where they can actually throw that out and find that value so that they can actually afford to swap off of it. And it might take some time because they have been losing people very slowly in succession, not all at once.
We'll see Kenzie, they'll find that target onto Fall. Dragon Strike wasn't quite as valuable that time. Kenzie picking up the double. We'll see the off of the Graviton, the rest of CIS looking for that value. And now, as you said, I'm curious to see if Zhao's gonna swap or if he's gonna stick to it. Looks like he might be going back towards the spawn. They still have their Transcendence. They still will look to have that Valkyrie available soon enough for Aang. And on the other side, little adjustments here and there. Fall now onto the Tracer. We'll look to contest Kenzie.
Oh, jumping up and deciding to fall back down. Nerf sees everybody looking at him. And yeah, indeed, nopes right on out of that one. Kenzie still in this back line. We see the next jump up from Nerf as he goes on top. Valkyrie coming out from Mono, and in this back line, Kenzie needs to find these kills, needs to find these picks, or they're going to lose this point.
They found a pretty important one. Main is not going to be up and running with the Transcendence for himself. The rest of his team now struggling to stabilize up to this point as Obling is going to be taken out. Kenzie still finding those value targets with those shots. Looks for a Mono. Now finally contested by Molfik, and Nerf should be going down. The Pulse Bomb is available already for Fall. Secures one onto that Mercy, and eventually they do get the second point, but Singularity somewhat struggling to push this one through.
Don't have too much time to work through this next objective stage, but have plenty to get the job done for sure. Dragon Strike ready for Unfixed here. Nothing available just yet for Singularity, as it looks like they're not going to be making any more swaps. They just moved Fall over to the Tracer recently and stuck to that, it seems. And again, still have to deal with that Dragon Strike. They don't have Lind up high enough to have the Transcendence as an answer. So depending on the position here that Unfixed wants to take, as they dive in, they could be met right in the face by that Dragon, and there it is.
Already splitting them apart. Shurik will be able to find that kill onto Mono. Mercy is not going to be able to stay alive throughout this fight here for Singularity. And as a result, the rest of them will be going back towards their spawn. CIS Hope surging forward, looking for any potential late kills. Shurik does fall, so one potential opportunity coming up next for Singularity, but with 55 seconds left, still gonna be looking somewhat dire.
Here's the Transcendence from Lind. Here's the Primal Raise from Nerfed. Fall has, you know, that Pulse Bomb coming up as well, very close. Looking to drop that in the next fight, but Shark diving right into the back line. They'll have to pull out that Transcendence a lot earlier than they would have liked.
And that is not what you're looking for if you're Singularity already will be going down. Mono, Malf as well. Lin will fall. 26 seconds left, and CIS Hope poised to make this final stop right before that third point.
Obling swapping over to the Genji now, though, as Kinsey on the Tracer himself, scouting around a little bit, looking for anybody he can find, especially in the back line, where he was able to take down Lind and Mono and put some pressure out in a big way alongside Shark as they dove past very aggressively. And here it is once again.
And it's on Lind, a big target here as the Valkyrie did come out from Mono, still looking to push this one through overtime. And we'll have Main answer first with that Transcendence, make sure he will stay alive. Lind finds one kill, Nerf with the second. Singularity need to keep the snowball rolling if they are to move that payload even further. Obling gets another onto those supports. Nobody left alive outside of Zhao on that point, as we'll see Kenzie fall too. And through overtime now, we'll see how much really Singularity can work with, because they will have that Transcended soon enough. So if they can at the very least sustain with this next team fight, they should be looking favorable.
Ooh, Fall camping out on the Tracer. You can see he has the Pulse Bomb. And ooh, should be able to find the stick, and does indeed. There's Main out of the fight already.
6v5, man advantage for Singularity. Looking to close this one out. It will be Nerf finding another self-destruct launched up into the air by Zhao. Finds one onto Nerf, but the blade is at the ready. Obling looking to slice his way through towards victory. Gets to Fall, will get the D-suit. Only Anne left onto that payload. Main coming back from spawn, this time onto the Moira. Will not stay alive long enough. However, Sharik will be the one to look to do just so. Pulse Bomb even coming out once more. But at this point, it's just a matter of time. Singularity find the space they need in order to get that payload on that third point.
And speaking of time, they have none left when they capped it out, but we will see them with an opportunity to continue that payload push should CIS Hope finish the map as well. But Singularity needs to make a stop right here and right now. CIS Hope is up 2-1. Match point for them. Singularity finished the map. That's good news, I would say, at this stage, to be able to turn this back around, equalize the set, and move into Ilios, where, you know, they might have a pretty good shot. If you look back, Singularity on Ilios, they were able to take up against Cord Narwhals. They lost to Snakes, though, so it's kind of back and forth for them.
And as you said, at the very least, looking good in terms of managing to pull it through in the end on that third point. And now I'm going to be curious to also see what they're going to be going in terms of that composition. On the defense so far, it seems like they're going to head right into it with a double sniper comp. And I can't blame them too much, because on the other side, CIS Hope with Unfix on that Pharah has been really successful when it came down to it on that first objective. And now we might actually see them run that 2-1 free comp instead.
Yeah, it seems like that might be the case. They ran this on Hanamura on their attack. Zhao likely to go onto D.Va, I imagine, and up against a double sniper comp, this could actually work out for them. Or sorry, the 2-1-3, yeah, so it will be instead the Zarya. But they still don't really have anyone to directly contest. You know, Obling up top, if he takes it over the Arch in the back line, you know, Fall, who tries to go for a different approach as well. If they surround them, then it's going to come down to Kinsey and Main to be able to push out that damage and force Singularity to not have those optimal angles where they can just, you know, just keep throwing out shots left and right and putting the pressure down at the CIS Hope.
We'll see if they're going to be making any adjustments as well. And so far, they will be taking out that barrier really quickly. CIS Hope moving towards that archway, and that's gonna be really the point where I want to see Singularity fight back, really strike back, find those angles, as you said, make sure they get those shots in for Obling, for Fall, build up with that advantage in the end. As so far, CIS Hope will be able to push on forward. They will look for the kill, they will find it, onto Nerf now. For that second one, Mofik will be dropping really, really low, but no space, no sidelines left available for the defensive side.
Obling still, I mean, this is exactly what we're talking about, how they just aren't able to find the answer to go up there. Luckily for them, though, they don't need it. They killed Nerf so quickly that there was nobody left to contest at all. Molf can't do that alone, and they take the first cap very fast. Now, Kenzie will be the way that they want to try to deal with this, as he's going to take on two snipers simultaneously. It's going to come down to the rest of his team to make sure that he has the protection and the angles to do it in this next couple of fights.
Especially since Fall is gonna go ahead and use that Dragon Strike to push them away. So far, not securing any kills, but Lind in the meantime finds one onto main, so the Transcendence will not be available for CIS Hope for quite a while now. As Sharik does find one kill onto Nerf, so it is overall a 1-for-1 trade. We'll see the Resurrect come through. Mono not punished. We'll find it in the end, and now CIS Hope might be struggling to find those angles, but Kenzie will find one kill of his own.
They have been really trying to isolate Nerf as often as possible. Molf just hasn't been able to deal with it. And now it's pressure on to the Mercy, who is up top now with the rest of these snipers. And again, they just can't really contest. It's going to come down to Kenzie. Obling works his way around, has a different angle now. Molf is looking to try to get his mech back up.
But the Graviton is ready. Zhao looking for that one. Will force out the Transcendence. At the very least, we'll keep the rest of the team away. Earth Shatter to follow. Obling will fall, nerfed as well. And once more, CIS Hope coming up big here on Dorado.
Unfixed just flailing away. Ball goes down. 4 minutes. They will be able to take this the second point here and have plenty of time moving forward. Kenzie's still on the Widowmaker right now and probably going to be taking the high ground on the right side as they approach. Try to find an angle there, but Obling swapping now signals the 3-0-3 full swap here for Singularity.
And the problem for them is the fact that CIS Hope will have that ultimate advantage. Kenzie still looking to push Obling away. We'll find a little bit of damage uncontested as the ground battles is where it's at right now. But the Earth Shatter will secure 3 potential kills, 2 already going through for CIS Hope as they will continue to batter their way through the opposition and make sure that payload is going to be also close to that 3rd point.
4:45, this could be it. They have one more fight to come. Zhao at 94%. They also have the Transcendence as well. This could be it for CIS Hope. They might cap it with over 4 minutes.
It's looking dire right now for Singularity as the will try to fight their way through. It's going to be the Graviton coming out. 3 members taken out swiftly. CIS Hope just rolling their way at this point. Self-destruct will be there, but Mulfik should fall soon enough. However, he does manage to find a hang in that massive of a fight, and now CIS Hope just absolutely dominating on Dorado.
Plenty of time. I mean, plenty of time for CIS Hope, as now they will be defending once again 5-12 as they got that extra minute from Singularity, who capped out. So now we'll see Singularity with, not much to work with at all. Try to push the payload at least, I would say at least into the market. They have to get past the archway. If they don't get past the archway, I think it's done. Because CIS Hope here, knowing that they have plenty of time to work with, are probably going to contest it there. They might go forward, they might be a little bit more aggressive, but I think it would be a mistake because if CIS Hope loses that first fight, Singularity will easily push into the market. They might even have an opportunity to set up and then push it into that first objective and then move it into the second, where CIS Hope is going to be, disadvantageous once more. But if CIS Hope holds back, fights in the archway, wins one fight, gets, the ult advantage, then pushes that momentum forward, and they're able to then take the map, or rather take the defense right at that archway. 5 minutes, CS Hope should push that no problem. So, Singularity attacking here, absolutely have to find a way through the archway, and it looks like their way in, the way that they're going to be knocking on the door of victory here to equalize the set is going to be with a Bastion Protect the President. Classic, I mean, this is Junkertown in effect right here.
This is something we've seen in the past on this particular map as well, so not something unheard of. We'll see Obling look to set up so far, very much contested by their opponents, looking to push them away, but it's working out. At the very least, we'll manage to stay alive, and as I say that, I curse them, never mind. CIS Hope will push on forward. Instead, we'll look to have that advantage, as you said, look to stop them right at that archway.
Well, now things are very difficult. They have to completely swap their comp around because there's no way that in 20 seconds they're going to be able to reset back up onto that point. So complete swap ups here for sure, as we see them go to a 3-1-2, or rather a 2-2-2 as fall swaps as well. going full dive now, backed up by a Coalescence, but still have to stay on the payload with a Dragon Strike and a Barrage ready.
And soon enough, even Shurik will have his Earth Shatter. Look to set up for success. Will be the Dragon Strike pushing the members away of Singularity. So far, 2 for 1 as Obling, they managed to find 2 targets on that Genji. However, he needs to keep up that performance because the Earth Shatter and the damage will still come through out of CIS Hope Fall. The only member left on the payload will have the recall. Obling is lying in wait onto the side, just looking for his opportunity to push it even further. For overtime, will not manage to do just that. Gets punched in the face instead. There by Unfixed in the end, and this is exactly the problem that you pointed out for those here.
Yeah, not getting past that archway. CIS Hope was just allowing them to get up to that point because they knew that if they came out forward and it was aggressive, Singularity had an opportunity to possibly win that fight. And if they did, they lose control of market, and then all of a sudden it becomes very difficult to hold on to that first objective. Knowing though now that they have 5 minutes, knowing that they had it stopped in the archway just past it, you can see that golden tick there. I mean, this is going to be easy for CIS Hope, or rather it should be. It should be easy. They still have to deal with the 303, or what could actually be a quad tank from Singularity coming through with Fall actually, instead of being on a Brigitte, bringing out the Hog. So CIS Hope might meet something that they're familiar with, which could be bad, could be good. We'll have to see though, as it's going to be Kenzie on the Widowmaker, and there's not going to be many targets for him to go for, depending on where this quad tank wants to set up.
It seems like they're gonna go ahead and I don't want to say necessarily gamble it away with this far forward positioning.
They have to.
If at this point, yeah, I think they have to. With so much time in the bank for CIS Hope, it's just gonna be extremely difficult to make sure they hold this one through. Unfixed, I did like the Pharah there, but we'll make the swap back to the Brigitte instead and get spotted out instantly by the Sonic Arrow.
Yeah, the whole thing here is that they want to take this first fight, force this to take a long time, but they don't want to fully engage. They don't want to make sure that they lose this. They don't want to go all in at all. They want to be able to come back into this if they can. So what they're going to do is they're going to try to sustain for a long time here. They have Orisa and Reinhardt shield available. Hold this corner, and then once they start losing, once they start having to fall back, they'll just pull out of this fight. Unfortunately, though, for them, it's going to be very tough in this state. As CIS Hope cleaning things up, they want no part of this quad tank, not one bit. 4.5 minutes to go forward, and I don't even know if Singularity can get back in position to contest this one.
The Shurik able to build up that charge with those Fire Strike. Easy tanks, easy ult charge for this man, as we will see one Tracer desperately coming in here in the side of Molfig. Will not be enough. CIS Hope advance through the losers bracket finals.
Singularity falling just short. They brought out a couple of different unique stuff for us to see, but in the end, CIS Hope seems to have kind of found their way in this meta. They struggled at the beginning, but it wasn't actually against what we thought they would struggle against. It was, mostly the 2-2-2 from Snakes that was really what was tough for them. So now as they look forward,